Good morning and welcome to Leadership Challenge Show live on EBN TV this morning. I'm glad that you have learned and loved to follow this program as we grapple and converse and talk about issues of leadership that affect our development and our quality of life. In our Leadership Challenge Show, we tackle issues. It's about our lives. And we want to see leaders do the right thing. That is why we engage in this conversation. I am glad that you're watching and welcome so much. As we continue to converse here, I would ask you to drop in your comments and we will sample some of them at the end of the program and know what you are saying about some of the issues of conversation that we strike in this program. Glad that you're watching. EBN is a great television station. And with us in studio to help us drive the conversation is none other than my friend and a wonderful, precious person, David Wamathu.
Thank you.
Business strategist and management strategist who comes many times. And I think a lot of you people, you have loved the answers and the way he helps us to understand matters that pertain to our lives. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana. Today we want to strike conversation on the presidential speech
yes.
of the Mashujaa Day that happened yesterday.
Yes.
As the president started to address the nation, you could feel the burden upon him.
Yes.
He presented himself as one that understands the huge challenges that are upon him and even upon the whole nation.
That is it.
As he struck the conversation, you could tell the tone that it is urgent.
It is, yes.
You could tell that the issues he is presenting are urgent.
Correct, yes.
You could also see a willingness to turn around the situation. That's the status quo.
Yes.
Is like cannot be accepted to continue. Overall, he left us with a feeling that he wants things to change.
Yes.
And there are many issues, but I would like you to do also your own observation before we delve into some of the major issues. As the president came up to speak to Kenyans yesterday,
yes.
What could you make of his speech?
Thank you very much. I think that was a very important day for all of us. And I was quite happy to listen to the president.
Yeah.
And as you have started by saying, he is actually in cognizance that things are not just very easy. And there are things that have to be put in place for the things in this country to move forward. One of the things I would say in general is that his speech was full of hope.
Yeah.
It was a difficult speech, but again, it was full of hope.
Yeah.
And I can see there is a direction. I think the most important thing that we always say, it is actually being able to implement whatever he said. If we can be able to implement what he said yesterday, I think Kenya would start actually moving forward in a good way.
Yeah.
And therefore, as you have said, quite a number of issues are very urgent. If you look at the hunger position in quite a number of counties, more than 20-something right now, they are actually struggling with hunger and all that. And I think that is some of the things that are driving him to be able now to do what he is doing. In terms of the young people, he was very passionate about them. And he is actually in understanding that quite a number of them have been waiting for the hustle funds. And he was able to tell them that, look, today I have an answer for you. So he knows exactly what we are expecting of him. And therefore, I think in terms of what he is doing right now, he is doing it towards making sure that whatever he promised Kenyans, he will be able to do it. So there was a number of issues that he talked about. Agriculture, he touched it in a very big way. He touched on the access to the funds. He touched about the housing in a very big way. The healthcare, universal healthcare, he touched about it. He touched about the innovations, actually. You know, he was very clear about the innovations. And he has actually talked about the global digital marketplace, which is very important. And just to say why it is very important, there is one person in the world, and he has actually become very big and becoming one of the richest person in the world through the digital. Actually, the digital environmental marketplace. And this is Jack Ma. Jack Ma is one person who started on that digital superhighway platform.
This is a man leading the supply chain called what?
It is Alibaba.
Oh, the Alibaba. Yes. Okay, sorry.
Correct,
was confusing.
Yes. And him actually today, he can be able to fund. You see the economy for Kenya. If not 5 times, it should be more than 5 times. Every year he can be able
to economy of Kenya.
The economy of Kenya without 5 times without you having a deficit. So the whole of this year from now 2022 to 2027, this man has the capacity to fund that as a single one person. And it is actually through the digital global networks. So these are some of the things that he is trying to do. And with doing things, it is very easy for us to be able even to do businesses, even with the countries which are very far away. Because there are some things that we produce in Kenya, but nobody knows that we are producing them in Kenya. They are in big demands in other countries, but people will always now not realize that, because for them, they don't like what they are producing, but there are other people who are producing. And that's actually the principle that Jack Ma came with about. He knew that there are things that we are producing in China that Europe wants. And he actually did it very well. And today, even many of us, we are actually buying clothes, we are buying electronics, and many other things from Alibaba. So these are the things that we are saying, and I think
And Alibaba is not manufacturing anything.
No. It's only the digital. He is actually, you manufacture, and through the digital, he is able at least to connect you. You produce, and he connects you to the market. And that is exactly what we are talking about. Kenya is now being connected, and that's why he talked about the superhighway, that he is going to do the fiber, you know, in terms of 100,000 kilometers. So what does that do? It is actually making sure that the data and the calls, even in terms of networks, the cost starts coming down. And therefore, people are able to transact without a lot of issues. And these are the things that we are saying. It was a positive thing. For me, listening to him, I saw Kenya getting into the other worlds, which is a very good thing.
So he kept the hope of Kenyans alive.
Yes, he did.
And Kenyans are still feeling upbeat about his promises. Okay, we have a dire situation, the anger situation.
Correct, yes.
And then he spelled a few things about agriculture.
Yes.
Are these things that he is promising workable? Because that is where we need to begin.
That is the
if he talks about fertilizer, who follows up about this fertilizer to make sure that it reaches the farmer and it reaches the farmer at the right, because there are places where I think there is no follow-up. And even I've heard of cases where even government fertilizer was packaged into other different sacks with the different names and sold to the public. As he talks about the seed issue,
the right seeds,
do we have what it takes?
Well, I would say yes and no. And why I'm saying yes and no is because right now the government has not put the right systems. As we speak, the people who actually drive the government, they are being vetted.
Yeah.
And that is, you look at the CSS, you look at the Prime Minister, Chief Minister.
Yeah.
All these people are not actually free. They are not. They have not started.
They cannot
working.
work.
Yeah, they can't work. So there are some few structures which they have not been able to put. Others, if they come into office, I believe that things are going to start changing, because there is who is going to be responsible.
So
for
you are
what.
saying is dream team. Watu wake wa mkono.
Yes.
Bado hajaingia job.
Bado hajaingia.
So he cannot implement some of these things because he has the people he wants to use.
Correct. Yes.
And they have to be in office.
Yes. Yes.
For it to be operational.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I believe within the next 2 weeks or so, the whole cabinet, if there is anyone to be dropped, they will be dropped and they get other people.
Yes.
If they are confirmed, they will be confirmed, and after that they will be able now to move and start working.
Yes.
So when they start working, if for example you are the CS for agriculture, there are some few issues that there are structures which have been put there and they have to be followed.
Yeah.
And one of the things I have realized is that there is the deputy president and there is the chief minister.
Yeah.
They are coordinating all these things with the various CSs. And therefore it will be very easy for them to go and sit in a meeting and ask some few questions. And one of the good things that this government wants to do, and I am very happy about it, is whereby the president has said, look, when we get now to set the whole team, the CSs are going to be accountable to the parliament. And these are the things that they want to do. So if, for example, there is no fertilizer in Narok, the person who will raise this issue is actually a member of parliament from Narok.
Yeah.
And he'll be able to say, you are telling us about the fertilizer. I went to my village, there is no fertilizer. And therefore the CS for agriculture will be answerable, not to only some few people,
but in the house itself.
In the house.
Okay.
Which are some of the things, the controls and the measures are actually very good. And therefore with that, we expect that people are going to be responsible and accountable. Right now, that is not happening too well, but I believe it is just a matter of time.
You know, I heard him talk about in the former regime, they had planned to build 57 dams.
Yes, yes, correct.
And was clearly saying some have not even taken off. They have not even started.
That is true, yes, yes.
But I think he promised to build over 100 dams.
True, true, true.
And that tells you if there is going to be breakthrough in agriculture, it has to be irrigation agriculture.
That is it.
And because the rains are only reliable in very limited areas of Kenya.
Yes, that is it.
The majority of them then have to get water. And there is what made those other dams not to start. Has that been dealt with?
Well, I think there is one issue, and I would just say yesterday, there is something that the president talked about.
Yeah.
It is about the independence
of
the bodies. If, for example, it is the judiciary, he talked about their independence. And he talked about something that he said, this particular time, we are going to be very firm on corruption. And he said one thing, that we don't want even the fight on corruption to be corrupted by things which are going to be brought on the way.
Yeah.
And I think,
he talked about that.
Yeah, he talked about that. And I think he is very serious about fighting corruption. And if he is very clear about he is not going to interfere. He has told all of us, the Kenyans, 50 million, that I am not in the business of actually interfering with what like the judiciary is going to do. So what has happened and what happened there in the other regime, there was a lot of corruption. Every other person was doing their own things. But right now, what he is doing, he is also funding. You remember one of the issues with judiciary is that they were not funded properly. But actually the first day, and he is consistent in this, he said, I am going to ensure, one, the judiciary is funded properly. Number two, he talked about also the police. And he said that they are not going to be begging. They are going to have their own funds. So if you look at what he is doing, he is talking about making sure that the issues of corruption are dealt within a very short time. Because it was actually corruption that made all these things not to happen. But he realized that we need at least a body that is going to be able to ensure that these corrupt deeds, they are brought to books and people are dealt with in such a big way. So I think if he fights the corruption the way he has said, because it is not an issue of him. There are some bodies which are able to fight corruption. If he gives them the leeway to do their own thing without interfering, I believe that it will be possible for these things to happen.
Because I realize that even we Kenyans, I think Kenyans are also corrupt.
Yeah, very much.
Leave alone individuals. The general mind of the average mind of an average Kenyan is corrupt.
Very much. Very
and
much.
When we talk about like we are building dams, we become the very evidence ourselves. We become the stumbling block ourselves.
That is it. Yes, yes.
Because when land, we know that an acre of land is supposed to go like for 300, 400,000 or half a million. But we are selling it for 2 million, just 1 acre.
Yes, yes.
So it means like even if money has been given for a project, then we plunder it.
Yes.
We plunder it by overcharging for things, because it is government that is doing it. We overcharge for land, and all these dams are going to be built on acquired land.
Yes, yes.
There are people that are going to be displaced.
Correct. Yes.
And your farm is going to be taken because water will come up to that level. I think we need to address Kenyans.
Yes, yes. Actually, let me say, and you have said it in the right way. Corruption starts with all of us. In terms of fighting corruption, it is not one institution that is going to fight corruption. It is a matter of attitude. It is your mind. And you have to tell yourself that I must start for the right things. Where we have been having a bit of a problem is that many people want just to benefit themselves, but not the country at large. And therefore, these are the attitudes that must, we must develop a positive attitude and ask ourselves a question. Why should we make other people to suffer when we are moving forward and other people are not moving forward? And therefore, we have to start and say, look, this is the best value we can get out of this piece of land. And if it is the best value, we are not going to inflate. We are not going to do things which are not really the right things. And therefore, we have really, as Kenyans, to ask ourselves some few questions. Am I doing the right thing? Because if we can answer that questions, you realize at the end of the day, things will work. I was actually amazed another day. I was reading an article, and it was saying for an average Kenyan, they get allowed in a month 16 invitation to corruption. 16 invitation. Whether corruption, they get involved in them or not, it is a matter of your character.
It's a matter of integrity
and your character. And therefore you find, for example, and that's why we are saying, some of these things, they start from here. There are sometimes you actually, you have done a wrong thing, even on the roads when you are driving, and the policeman flags you. And when he flags you, what do? We start talking another language. I was in a hurry. I need these things. What can we do? And now you are actually even enticing the policeman
to get something from you.
To get something so that you are released. And then we'll actually go and say the policemen are corrupt. But also the corruption is within us, that you don't want to do the right thing. And I have seen it several times. There are times I have actually stood and said no, because I don't want to give you. If you are going to write a bill, write a bill for me, because if you want to forgive me, forgive me, but I am not going to do this. And I think this is where Kenyans really need to say, look, I am going to do the right thing, because if we do the right thing, we will be able to move this country forward.
And because now, sometimes we Kenyans, we also have to be realistic. Sometimes we love to shout corrupt, the minister is corrupt, or the person or the contractor is corrupt. and he has eaten our money. But sometimes I have felt like Kenyans are talking to their own shadow. It's like you are calling out your own shadow, because that politician you say is corrupt, money went down from, it did not stay with that person.
Yes.
It went down even to the grassroots. And some of the people shouting corruption, they have eaten that money. So I think as we begin to implement, because if we are going to have breakthrough in agriculture, as the president floated yesterday, we must get water for irrigation.
Yes.
Our breakthrough in food security is breakthrough in getting water for irrigation.
Yes, it's very true.
And if we are going to do irrigation, land has to be acquired.
Yes.
Kenyans must be realistic and make sure they sell land at market value, not at exorbitant prices, so that we also enable the projects to complete within a good time. What is the use of building one big dam in Ukambani called Ithwake for billions and billions of money, when we could have split that money and build other smaller dams and serve a wider area of the community? So really we have now to begin to be realistic and be resort oriented.
That is.
In looking at agriculture again, the inputs, and I don't know whether you have seen the advertisement. I think there is an advert about poisonous insecticides.
Yes.
I think I saw it. It features a few media personalities and even
Yes.
And it's talking about they are holding tomato, they are holding skuma. Have you seen that advert?
I have seen it.
And so I hear that in the country we also have insecticides that are poisonous.
Yes.
They are not being used in other countries. And I'm waiting for one person to address that. That the skuma that will come into my plate, I am sure it is not laced with the poison, but the right insecticide. And that whole sector of inputs, fertilizers and insecticides, I think we have to address it.
Actually, the president again, because I followed his speech.
You followed his speech?
Yeah, in quite a big way. There are some few things that he talked about, and they are quite important. And he said that he is going to set, you see, this research, the research department. This research department, actually purely it's supposed to ensure that what you have talked about, they are able to identify what are some of the implements that we are supposed to introduce and which are these implements we are supposed to drop. So I think in terms of what the president is doing, he has actually, he is a man of the people, I would say. So he has gone down, and that's why he talks about the bottom up. So he understands what is happening here at the bottom. And I think that issue that you have said, it is one of the issues that he is actually saying. Some of the things are actually there are things he said clearly. Like that one is going to be driven from his office. Actually, the other one is going to be driven from his office. There is also something else that he talked about. You see, about making Kenya green. It is something that is in him.
He said he will do it himself. He will oversee it himself.
And he said that by 2032, around 30% of Kenya should be green, which is actually a very big move. So what I have realized is that he is actually realizing what some of these issues that we talk about. He is a president who is actually hearing, and he is understanding, and he has interacted with them. And therefore,
in fact, he said anybody who achieves the planting of 300 trees must be given a certificate. And I started smiling because I needed one.
Can you see? He knows. Actually, he knows that he knows for you to do what he wants to reward you, and that is rewarding Kenyans. Because if you get that certificate, by the way, that certificate can actually be able to bring very many things to you. So there are several things, and I think he is going big in terms of research. And the research is what you are talking about. So he is a man who really is down there and he wants to ensure everything happens. So I think on that issue of poison and such things, it will be dealt with.
Okay. Yes. Well, thank you for keeping us company here on EBN TV this morning. It's live on EBN TV, talking about leadership this morning, discussing the presidential speech of Mashujaa Day, and we have highlighted on and conversed on matters of agriculture, and I think we are getting somewhere. We also as Kenyans need to behave ourselves. We are taking a short break. When we return, David Kamau, you must help us understand the Hustler Fund and how it's going to help us. We topic, take a short break. Don't go far. We will be right back.
Thank you.
Are you a church, a pastor, an apostle, an evangelist, or a teacher of the gospel? Broadcast your sermons with us today. Contact EBN TV sales team on 0740 653 453 or 0713 492 865 or 0721 936 847. Book with us now and enjoy great discounts. Welcome to the EBN TV family.
Welcome back to the Leadership Challenge Show live on EBN TV this morning. We are conversing on the President's speech on Mashujaa Day, and one of the things he really talked about passionately was agriculture, and we dealt about that in the first segment of the Leadership Show this morning. Right now, I want us to talk about the Hustler Fund. And there are people out there who thought like the Hustler Fund would be like a dishing out of money. And I want you to take time. Take time and explain to Kenyans that there is no money that is going to be dished, but people have to organize themselves.
Correct, yes.
Life is about taking responsibility.
That is it, yes.
And there's nothing for free. You are only being enabled to do business.
Yes, yes.
Please begin. What is this Hustlers Fund? Because the president said he's launching it on
the first
of December.
Yes.
So we what is it? Help Kenyans, because some of them still think it's free money.
Oh, well, I think that's a very good question.
Yeah.
And it is something that many people have been waiting for. And the good thing, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the president committed himself. Actually, even in his speech, he knew that everybody was waiting to hear when this is going to be rolled out. And as you have said, in December, it is there. But one of the things, if you have been following, and I know you have been.
Yes.
The president said one thing, and there is one day he said, it is actually in the media. He said, I'm working out on the Hustlers Fund, but now also work towards it in the way that me, I'm doing my work, also you do your work.
Yeah.
What did he mean? He meant that for me, I'm going to look for money for this fund. But it is your business to get to know how are you going to arrange yourself to be a recipient for this money. as you have said, it is not going to be money that is going to be, it is not like a campaign time that you'll be given some handouts. It is actually a money that is going to be given to people who are organized.
Yeah.
Either you can organize yourself in groups, either you can organize yourself in circles, because there are circles which are there.
Yeah.
Either you can be in cooperatives. There are so many avenues that you can organize yourself in a very registered way.
That's right.
And again, it is not money that is going to be just free. He talked about it is a 1 digit. In terms of 1 digit, what we are saying, it can be an interest of 5%.
5%,
it can be an interest of 3% or even, but it will not go beyond 9%.
Yeah.
So that is exactly what he is saying. So it is actually some money that you will not actually be given, and it is forgotten. And that's why the structures will be there, and that's why people really need, if for example it is the border people, they need to be in an organized group, whereby they are saying this is a recognized group. Even when maybe there is the minister now who is actually supposed SME, the CS for SMEs and all that. He is the one who is in cooperatives. He is the one who is going to be managing and helping in terms of the implementation of this. And therefore what is going to happen is that for the people who are not going to be ready in groups, for the people who are not in business, and this business can be assessed, and people can say, when I look at this business is able to produce. So there is what he has been talking about in terms of producing. He wants to ensure that he enables you to be able to produce more. And therefore, it is not money that you'll be given to go and buy Uber.
And go shopping.
You will not be allowed that. And therefore, there is a lot of follow-ups which is going to be done. And therefore, it is very important for all the Kenyans, especially the people that are going to benefit from this. There is the young people, there is the women, because some funds have been there, but they have been misused. And therefore, that's why the government is very careful about how it is going to distribute this. The thing is, all the people who want to benefit from this fund, they must get into these groups, arrange themselves. They must also be responsible. They get to know this is money that has been funded to you, attracting interest, and it has to be paid at a particular point. So it is just like, and actually you realize that one of the bank that is going to deal with this, and it has been very strong in cooperatives, is that the cooperative bank. It is actually formed of the premises of the cooperatives. And it is the one of the bank that is going to be used in terms of distribution. So the money is also coming out, from the bank. It is actually a bank being given. So there is going to be vetting and many other things that will be happening. And therefore, if Kenyans are not prepared, monies will come. But it will take a lot of time for some people to be able to access that money.
You know, there is this clamor about being removed from CRB, and I still wonder whether we have reached that level of discipline. Me, I know I have been on credit before, whether at institution level, the institution I'm running, but the question is, are we disciplined enough when it comes to financial issues? And if the ASLA fund is not going to be free handout, it's not an handout.
No, it isn't.
It is a capital you are being loaned, and you're going to repay.
Correct.
So you must do business, make profit, and
That
pay
is
back.
So
if that is going to be the case, then Kenyans must be prepared to be disciplined. Unless, even if they are removed from CRB, and that is where my worry is. If there is no any institution that cracks the whip on those who are failing, how are we going to recover the money that is given to hustlers?
I think that is already a very serious question. And I think it is being questioned. As you have said, many Kenyans, they have not understood their responsibility.
When it comes to credit.
When it comes to credit.
Yeah.
And you see, the president, what he wants to do is actually to score people. It is called the credit rating. Whereby you are rated according to how you honor your obligations. So you may find someone getting a 3% in terms of the interest, another person getting even 9%. It is actually that variation that if, for example, your record, the rating, your rating
if
is...
you are a higher risk.
Yeah, if you are higher risk, you'll be paying more.
More interest.
Yeah, you'll be paying more interest. I think that is one of the area he is trying to say, well, look, there is someone actually even who can get that loan at 2%. Why? It is because their credit rating is very good.
And they will pay.
And they will pay. So let me tell Kenyans that if you are not going to be responsible, the loan will be expensive and costly for you. And therefore, the best thing that you can do is actually make sure you are able to pay your loan so that it is going to be very cheap. Again, as you have said, the CLB issue. There is a time that the government talked about the CLB. You remember the time of COVID?
Yeah.
For some few months, even the previous regime, it said that it is going to remove at least that restriction, that even if you are listed in CLB, you can still access funds. What happened is that money, the banks refused to give money. You remember? It was very difficult for the bank, actually, for you to access finance. Funds from the bank, even the loans from the bank, it became quite expensive.
Yeah.
So what will happen is, for example, an institution, it actually listed you. It actually gave you a name to be listed. What will happen is, there are some way, you know, the Hustler Fund is only 50 billion.
Yeah.
So it is not enough for everyone. And if, for example, you are not going to pay these monies, and you are listed in CLB, what will happen at the end of the day is that you realize that several people also will lose the opportunity. So it is upon us. We just tell ourselves as Kenyans that if, for example, I am going to get this additional capital, it must be put in something that we have tested and it is able to produce. And also they have to be taught some few, you know, there is what we call the finance for non-finance people. There are small things for non-finance people that you can be taught about when you actually get 100 and then you sell something for 120 shillings. 100 is your capital. The only money that you can talk about is made is 20. And that is the 20 that you are saying that this 20, I should use it this way. So we must ensure that the seed capital is not consumed. Because if we consume the seed, what will happen is that we will not have anything to plant. We will not have any harvest. And those are the things that we are talking about. Kenyans have to be sensitive, and they have to learn how to manage the funds they are getting.
I wanted to hear more of how those groups are going to be like seminared or maybe trained. Did you hear anything like that? Because as from where I sit, I'm a pastor, I lead people. I think people need a lot of preparation.
Yes.
And people need to be really impacted on their thinking. Yeah. And that one has to take time. I don't know whether they are going to be taken through 1 month training or whatever before you are given the money. But I thought there could be some kind of preparation before the credit is released.
Let me tell you, this ministry, this actually issue has been thought about in a very big way.
Yeah.
If you look at the former regime, there wasn't a serious minister for SME and it is SME and cooperatives. Right now we have an office and a fully fledged minister who is actually dealing with the SMEs.
SMEs,
actually, his main law is actually on this hustler fund. And he is the one who is connecting all the hustlers to the cooperatives. You know, there are structures to connect them that way. So what you realize is that as long as you have formed this group, there is going to be a rigorous training. Because already they know that giving people money without giving them the information, it is not going to help. It is only going to be money that is going to the drain. And that is one of the areas you'll find there will be a lot of many consultants who will be sent into different counties, and they are able to sit with the groups. And they are actually taught, even actually the cooperatives, you find the people in cooperatives, they are taught about the savings, and that is also something that even the president talked about.
And some of the finance organizations that have been dealing with women, I think they have been training women so much.
Correct, yes.
Like the Kenya Women Finance Trust,
Yes. So there is going to be a lot of training. Actually, the government is deliberate in terms of one, training is going to be for sure there. And number two, there is someone who will be asked some questions. And that's why we say this issue of parliament asking question to the person
is a game changer.
Is actually a game changer. And therefore, you realize that when the money is getting lost, the CS and the whole the ministry, they must come and answer. Why is it that our people are not getting the right information? And therefore, I feel pretty settled that at the end of the day, before this money is released, there is going to be a proper training. And there is also going to be the monitoring. It is like the table banking. You see the table banking that was introduced. Do you know, if you talk to some women in some areas, they have really developed themselves in a very big way through the table banking. Why? It is because the people who are actually behind the table banking, they had enough time to go and sit with the women and tell them this is how this fund can help you. And I believe this is what is going to happen. That before the money is released, because people are in the groups, they will be taught about it. And you see why it is also important to be in a group. It is because of check and controls. There are some people, if you are given money and
when you are alone,
you can use it the way you want. But when it is a group, there is actually someone who says, me, I am handling the finance. Me, I am handling the marketing. So you will find that in that quite a number of people will be able to benefit because there are also going to be structures which are able to report. So with that kind of reporting, it is going to be easy to manage the Hustlers Fund.
Okay. Now, the Hustler Fund will be launched in December. The beginning of December. What are Kenyans, hustlers now supposed to be doing? Because I thought in a run-up to that, in approach to that, Kenyans should have done one or two things that would have made them ready. And I think one of them is registering their groups. Maybe through cooperatives or something like that. So what are Kenyans and hustlers supposed to be doing now to be ready for the Hustlers Fund?
Actually, you have said it in the right words. That right now, it is the time for all the people who want to access this fund to register themselves in at least something that is a tangible group that can pass. Because this money, as we said, it will not just be given to people who are just 5 people who just come together without an agenda. They must have an agenda. They must have something that they are doing that if it is looked into, it can be able to generate. Because why do you give capital? You give capital because there is something that people are doing, and by giving them this capital, it is able now to make them to produce more. And now from there, the business starts picking up. And therefore, for all the people who are to access, number one, they must to register themselves. They must affiliate themselves because you see, the money is, he actually explained very well how it is going to be distributed. It is actually going, he's talked about it is actually going to be digital. You see,
digital.
Yes. So one of the things I believe that will be happening is that in that digital issues, there are quite a number of questions that will be asked. It is not just like the way you just do on the Safari. The monies you get that you can get alone from Safaricom.
All through any other digital lenders.
It is actually going, this is going to be a serious. It is actually registered. They know this money has gone to maybe so and so, this kind of a group. And therefore, these are the things that Kenyans need now to start asking themselves the right questions for these things to be launched, because it will be launched. And people are just there. Money is there, it cannot be distributed. And that is the time they will start now running to be able now to form some groups. So if, for example, you look at the Boda Boda, in every place, for example, in Nairobi here, Makadara, there must be a group of registered Boda Bodas. So they can actually now form themselves. Like the way you find the matatus, they have their circles. You find like Eba, we have Eba Sava, you see. You find this, and you have the City Hopper circle and all those kind of things. They have already formed themselves into the circles. So what you'll find is that some of the monies will actually be distributed through the circles. And the circles are able now to distribute this money to their members. And therefore, members must join these circles if they also want to benefit very fast. Because it is easier now for the circle to deliver to the members more than just going directly to the members. So I think those are the things that the Kenyans, they need to do if they are going to be ready for the launch of the Hustlers Fund.
Okay, so I think you have heard it yourself. If you are an hustler, you are expecting the fund, the money to be financed. You have heard that it is not an handout. It's not money that you're going to be given to eat. It is money for investment, so that you put it into income generating activity. And you must take responsibility. I think we have taken time to talk about that. You must have financial disciplines. When it comes to finances, you must be disciplined, and you must know how to separate the capital from the profit. So you only eat the profit, you don't eat the capital. And that really needs to go down there. And I think we have talked about there's going to be training for these groups that are going to get the Hustlers Fund. And then we said also registration is very important. We are taking another short break, and when we return, we will be talking about the health insurance. Because if you listen to the president, he said majority of Kenyans are one illness away from poverty. One illness away from poverty. And we want to know how sickness is connected to our poverty, and how we can make sure if you get sick, your business is still able to run. We take a short break. We'll be right back. This is a Leadership Challenge Show live on EBN TV. We'll be right back.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Timeless noise. That street gospel. You know it's Benzi again.
Hello guys, guess what? Request Hour is back, better and big.
Alright, masterpiece.
Join us every Friday and Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. alongside DJ Show.
DJ Show, the dub boy.
Do you have a favorite playlist? Send it to us and let us play it for you.
Welcome back. This is the final segment of the Leadership Challenge Show here live on EBN TV. And we are talking about the health insurance sector. We have the NHIF. And for the rich, you know, there are other insurance covers.
Yes.
But we are talking about the common Kenyan health.
Yes.
When the president said the average Kenyan is one illness away from poverty, what did he mean?
Well, what the president meant is that I'll start with a statement which is common to every other person maybe. There is one statement that says, if you lose your wealth, you have lost nothing.
Yeah.
If you lose your health, you have lost something. If you lose your character, you have lost everything. So you can see how the knee is ranked in terms of it is actually it is ranked higher. Health is ranked higher than wealth. That's why he is saying, if you lose wealth, you have lost nothing. If you lose health, you have lost something. So you can see how serious it is. And you know what he means is, many people have ended up selling their piece of blood to be able to cater for medical bills. They have found themselves in a position, they are actually selling every other thing for them to cater for medical bills. And even other people, they have actually died, unfortunately, because they cannot be able to access the medical services and the medical care. So it is very important that we get to realize that if we are not careful about our medical state, we can actually earn a lot of money, and that money can be spent one day on medical bills. You find that you have been saving, but just if a sickness hits you, you find that money that you have been saving for a very long time, it is actually
swallowed,
depleted. And that is what he is talking about. It is not a good position to be in. Because if we are there, it is a lot of uncertainty. Today you can have money, tomorrow you are gone completely. Your family is actually left even to borrow. You have seen some people even who are trying to do fundraising. There is a medical bill, like for example, let's give a very good example, because it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Like the time that COVID hit, it is something that was unexpected. When COVID hit, and if someone went to ICU, how much money were they expected to pay for a day?
Millions of money.
It is, a day was 118,000. One day at the ICU. So you can imagine if you stay for 10 days. How much money is that? It is 1 million. You find that even the savings that you had, it may not even be enough to cater for your medical bills. And therefore what the president is talking about is the prevention and the care. He is talking about we can have all the wealth that we talk about, but our wealth is connected with our health. When you are not healthy, you cannot produce. You cannot produce that wealth. And that's why he is talking about and saying we need to ensure that all the Kenyans are safe. All the Kenyans, they can be able to access the medical care. And what is he saying is that right now, as you started by saying in a good way, there are some people who are able to take medical even for 20 million or even for more than 20 million. And they are saying even if something hits, because we have the insurance cover, at least before we get to our resources, already the insurance will have catered for most of those bills. And that's where he wants at least people not to be touching their wealth. What you have actually been saving for a long time. He is saying that should be for you and your children and your grandchildren.
So things must continue even when you fall ill.
Correct.
Yes.
When you fall ill, it is not a matter of people coming and starting calling for small harabes to raise some money. Because it happens all the time, because as we are talking about, very few people are actually on NHIF. And you find at the end of the day, again, what he has said, it is that he is going to tax wealth. How does he tax the wealth? Is that, for example, if for example you have a million or even a million, So what he is trying to do is to make sure that he also gets more money to cover for someone who is not actually earning a lot of money.
Yeah.
But he is saying that this is going to be like mandatory. Right now, there are so many Kenyans who don't have even NHIF.
Yeah.
It is actually, it has been always been 500 per month. That is it 6,000? Yes, 6,000 in a year.
Yeah.
But what he is saying, 6,000 may not be enough. But we are also going to make sure that we are going to scale it in the way that if, for example, someone is earning 1 million, he'll be earning, be paying
a little bit higher. Yeah.
So that it is able to cater for the people who are down here.
Yeah.
But he also said something else. This whole thing is not going to be per family. It is going to be per person. What does that mean? It is that pool is going to have enough money. Because if, for example, I have 4 people in my family, so we will be trying to contribute as the 4 people.
Rather than being, because they say it was like more of employment, salary-based. NHIF was like salary-based. But now he really wants it for households.
It is household. And that household, what he has actually said, he is also going to promote you, even in the household.
Yeah.
Some of these monies that you are going to do, and he said one thing, and it was very important. He said that this time government will not be only an enabler. Because there before, the government has always been an enabler. It has given you an environment that you can be able to do. But he said one thing, and it was very important, that they will be able to sponsor some of the mega projects.
Okay.
And therefore, what the government is doing right now, it has seen like medical is a mega project. And they want to put money for the Kenyans. Such that any Kenyan would be able to access the hospital just like any other person. And I think that is a very good thing. Because you would rather actually pay smaller monies and you are catered for just in case of any emergency. And this will help the Kenyans to remain healthy.
Yeah.
It will be able to help Kenyans also to be able to generate and create wealth, which is what would be able to turn around this country. We need a healthy Kenya. We need people who are able to continue with their businesses, who are able to take their children to school. Because some of the people, one disease hits the family. The children cannot go to school. And that is exactly what he is talking about, the poverty. That's why he is saying one disease can actually bring people to poverty, 100%.
And it should not be so.
It should not be so. And that's what he is trying to change with the universal health care.
When the NHIF have been campaigning, it's like they have just done the campaign themselves. Don't you think if then it's of this national importance and every Kenyan needs to be covered, don't you think that now a different approach must be employed, maybe through the commissioners or through the counties? I don't know, how do we do it and make sure it is not only NHIF that is talking, but there are other government authorities that are making sure the same way they check for your driving license. If you're driving, they can also check whether you have health insurance, because if surely you're a driver and you have a driving license, the next thing you need to have is insurance, medical cover, because that car you're driving, you know, you can find yourself in an accident anytime. So that now we can see other arms of government trying to enforce and make sure that people are getting it. Do you think it should remain NHIF issue only?
No. Actually, it is changing.
It's changing.
And that's why you can see, even in the speech, you know, there were some hits and misses in the president's speech yesterday. But you find that the universal health care was actually on top of the agenda for him.
Okay.
So what that tells you is that he wants to drive this from wherever he sits. This is one of his pillars. And I think if you also, we looked at his manifesto, universal health care was one of the top priorities. And it is among the 5 pillars. So it is something that at the end of the day, it cannot be left to just one body. It is something that the president, and I can tell you, this president is no joke. And even yesterday when he was reading the speech, you can see there is something in him that he is saying this thing has to be done. There are several things that are important for him, and I don't think he is going to let go. So, as you have said rightly, is this whole issue, it will be checked, because we know there are some families, even if you want them now to contribute this amount of money, right now where they are, they may not be able to contribute. And the government said, we are going to be able to also assess our people and see who needs to be sponsored on this. And that's why we said it is not an ABRA only. There is also the sponsor. The government is going to sponsor some few people. That it fight these people, they must be in this scheme, but they don't have the money at the moment to be able to do it. So he is saying that this thing has to be for every other person. And I think what the president is actually looking at is at one particular time, every other person, and that's the structures we are talking about. From the village. If there is the counties, there is the chief and all those things. They must be knowing this
every
family.
household.
Every household. Has it. And if it doesn't have, they must actually explain. Look, this household, if we let it just remain like that, it will be a burden to us. It will be a burden. And therefore, what do? They'll actually now say this family need to be sponsored. And I think that is what they are going to do. So there is a lot of work that is going to be seen. Actually, I can see yesterday, I think the president was just saying, I'm looking for that time I will start working. I am telling you, the time he starts working with his team, that is the time you'll see the structures fall in place. Yes.
And I think all this also needs to go down to counties and county assemblies and the government agenda, the national government agenda must also be driven through the counties, because now this government, national government cannot come aloof. And then be supporting the citizens on the ground when there's a county government somewhere in between here. And so I think you can address something about the county governments and the governors and how they need really to come in strong to make sure this aspiration of Kenyans comes to be realized, because we have a willing president. We have a president who has a different mind than before. And I think we can achieve more.
Actually, it is a very big challenge. And what I can see is the president means good for all the Kenyans. He has gotten to a point whereby yesterday, for once, I listened to his speech. He was actually away from politics. He did not want to entertain any politics. Because that has been the trend all the time. What he is looking and saying is, look, let's work. Let's make the life of Kenyans to be better. And this must go to the other leaders, especially the governors, as you are saying. The governors have a responsibility of making sure that the people that they lead, they are also living a decent life. You know, I was so amazed another time, Leverett. I looked at a county whereby people are infested with jigger. You know the jigger, the jigger itself.
The jiggers,
And there are some few bodies who are going to a county to be able to wash people, because it is actually what is supposed to be, ensure that your people are clean. You find other people who don't belong to the county.
They are coming from there, and the people down there are doing nothing.
They are doing nothing. So I think what is letting us down is actually the other leaders down here. And they must move the way the president is moving. If it is a governor, the governor must also move with the agenda of this government, the way we wanted it, to ensure that people are living a decent life. It is the member of parliament. We have the MCAs. If it is the MCA, why should we have a family infested with jigger? And you have never raised, and there is an MCA there, and you have never raised a voice to say, guys, it is a national disaster in this region. This thing, we need someone to help us in this. And I think that's where we are saying, the president means well for this country. Governors must mean well for this country. The member of parliament must mean well and move with the government and even the MCAs and all the other leaders, the chiefs and all this, they must go down and work. Because what has been happening in this country for a long time, there has been a lot of politicking. But I can say, right now, things are changing. Politics out. And now people must get to action and do the right thing. That's what will change Kenya.
Wow. What a good place to end our conversation this morning here on Leadership Challenge Show, live on EBN TV. Thank you so much for keeping company to us. These matters have been articulated to you, and we keep on praying. Let's also pray for this nation, and let's pray for the president, and let's pray for the cabinet secretaries, that which is the president team, so that they will have the same spirit and the same heart that the president has. We saw a president that is determined. We saw a president that is feeling the urgency of the Kenyan suffering, and I think this country is in for great change. Let us pray for this nation. Otherwise, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful day ahead of you, and the rest of the day also keep it EBN. We have such a wonderful lineup of programs for your viewership. God bless you and keep you. Thank you so much, David Kamau, for being here. It's always joy talking to you. And thank you for availing yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And God bless you. Okay, we end it there. Bye-bye. God bless you. Okay.